Welcome back to Photoshop for Scientific Visualization. We're almost finished our poster project, and now we just need to make sure everything is aligned properly. And to do that, we're going to explore a few tools, the first one being our basic Move tool. So you can select it up here in the top left, or hit V on your keyboard. What you might have noticed by now is when we have a layer selected, all we need to do with the Move tool is click anywhere on the canvas to move our layer about. But if we need to move multiple layers, we have to go into our layers window every single time. One option we have is to keep auto select enabled. When this is checked off, all we need to do is hover over a layer, click and drag. But this also presents its own problems because we might accidentally hit something we didn't mean to. So I like to keep this turned off, and instead we can enable it simply by holding down the Control or Command key. So notice our check mark is showing up. I'll release Control, and now we can see it. So with this method, I'm going to select our background as well as our sponsored text layer. And having selected two or more layers, I now enable some alignment tools. And these are very similar to the ones you will find in Adobe Illustrator, Keynote, or PowerPoint. I can align things to the left, the right, or the center, which is what I want to do right now. Next, I'm going to select my Chasing Outbreaks layer as well as my background and try to do the same thing. I'm going to hit the center align, but notice that our title didn't seem to move, but instead our background layer has shifted. What's happening is our Chasing Outbreaks layer is much wider than our background, so it was acting as the anchor point. So we need a different method. One thing we can do is head up to our View menu and select Snap. And we should also make sure that Extras is selected just above it. When we have it active, what happens is whenever we reach the edges of a layer's contents, we'll get these purple grid lines that show up, and our layer will snap into place. And this is also true with the canvas itself. So what I can do now is I can move this towards the center point, and when I hit the midline, I should see this purple line that runs down the canvas. So I'll release, and what should have happened is I've centered this layer. Next, I'm going to enable my rulers by heading up to View and selecting Rulers. You can also hit Command R. And right now, the units of measurement is percentage, but I can change any of these by right-clicking on the ruler itself. I'm going to click on the ruler, and I'm going to drag out a guide. And I'm going to have this at approximately 70%. Unfortunately, because I have snap on, we're actually snapping to the edge of our layer before we can get to 70%. So I'm going to zoom in, and with my Move tool, I'm going to drag this up. Then I'm just going to move my Chasing Outbreaks up until it snaps to the bottom edge of our guide. Having moved this layer, we now also need to readjust all these different text layers. So for this, I'm going to zoom in to the H, and I'm going to drag out a guide from the left. And I'm going to place it along that edge here. And now, I'm going to select these three layers with my Move tool, align them along the left, and pull them over until they snap to this new guide. I'm also going to shift them up with the up arrow until they're spaced appropriately. I think this is good. I'm just going to move a couple of these other guys down just a tad so that the spacing looks right. Now, to preview this without the guides, all I need to do is head up to View and disable Extras. And now our guides disappear. And we can have a clear picture of what we've created.